Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Claudia Sanchez with Work Truck Solutions. Just wanted to say thank you a million times for making this a record-breaking webinar this month. Ending the year with a bang for sure. We have lots of people still coming in, so we're going to get started in just another couple minutes. So just hang tight. We appreciate you being here, and we'll get started shortly.
We're much put the mic toward the middle of what we can all.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's covered.
Okay. Don't be nervous. Just kidding.
No,
Don't kid me.
And just curious, for those of you that are on right now, there's a little chat box down there. How many of you guys have multiple people in the room with you? Go ahead and say how many people you have in there, and we'd love to know how many people are, watching this as a team. Oh, awesome. Looks like there's a couple of you just on your own and then a couple of you with multiple people. That's great. Saeed, this should probably go the full hour. If you need to jump off early, that's totally fine. We're going to be recording today's session, but we do have a surprise announcement at the end, so if you stay on, you'll get to hear that, but if not, that's okay too. We'll send you the recording. Oh, awesome, you guys. Multiple people in the room with you. And then those of you that are on here as individuals, that's great as well. Thank you so much again for being here. We are so excited that we could all get together and do this. And we really think it'll be beneficial for all of you that are on the line today as well. All right, guys, well, it looks like we have quite a few people on now, so I'll go ahead and get this thing on the roll. Sharon, that's totally okay if you're driving. Most of this is just going to be audio, so you won't be missing anything visual. So if you just stay on the phone with us, you'll be able to hear all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, you guys. Thank you so much for telling us how many people you have in there. So just a quick housekeeping. There's that question box. Most of you guys are already utilizing it, so that's wonderful. If you have questions at any time throughout this presentation, please feel free to ask. We will have a question and answer session at the end. So just a bit of the agenda. We're going to do some introductions. Like I said, I'm Claudia Sanchez with Work Truck Solutions. With me, I have Joe Koshak, our Senior Product Specialist. He is going to be going over our interview questions. From Commercial Truck Training, we have Ken Taylor, of course. We have Will Brogan, and then from the McGrath Commercial Team, we have Andy Burns, the Commercial Manager, and Tyler Jansen, one of their truck pros. As I mentioned earlier, we will have a surprise announcement after our presentation, and then we'll jump right into the question and answer session. And then I just have a few closing statements and reminders for you guys to go over. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in.
Let's do it. Well, good morning, Claudia. Good morning, Work Truck Solutions personnel up in Chico and everywhere else that's listening in. And good morning to so many of you. That's actually a registration and attendee record we're looking at here. And Claudia, we hit the number we were hoping for.
Yes, we sure did. That's awesome.
Actually, right on the money at the moment. I had just a couple of the names that I see here. The one at the very bottom, Andy Thomas. I know that you're listening from Backroad GMC. I'd just like to say that the guy to my right, Tyler Jansen, is holding a Green Bay Packers pen that Ken passed along to him, and he pretty much won't let go of it. He's enjoying it very much, so thank you, Andy. We have a really unique situation here in that we are actually in the dealership and have a chance to ask these questions to two guys here, both Andy and Tyler, that work really, really well together, but in theory are still two different levels of the dealership, with Andy being a manager and Tyler being a sales guy. So the whole idea behind this was to give you guys an opportunity to learn what they do well, because in Ken's experience, 17 years now, McGrath has really done everything the right way as you've seen it, and the numbers dictate that. I think you guys would both agree on that. And we're just really excited with everything that they've put out there, everything that they've done, and hopefully, even if you pick up one or two nuggets from what these guys do, hopefully you'll see that there's value in attending this webinar and picking up those nuggets. You got anything to add before we get started, Coach?
No, I think this is an opportune time for all of you out there who have been at this for any length of time, whether 2 weeks or 20 years. You're going to learn something. I mean, there's some very top-notch people listening in on this call, and I love that because there's always something else to learn. One of my good friends, mentors in this business, Mike Stubbs, is with us. There's so many people out there, A.J. Hewitson and others, who know this business forward and backward and still want to learn more. So I think that's just incredible, and we bless you.
Give us a little bit of feedback too, for those of you who are listening who aren't like Claudia and Joe, who obviously are panelists. Let us know you can hear us okay, because we do have 4 people working with 1 microphone and have the dealer detail shop just on the other side of a door here. I think we're okay, but still it doesn't hurt to double check and get some loud and clear, so it looks like we're ready to go. Ready?
Awesome. We're ready.
All righty. First question for Andy. We have 4, and then Claudia and Joe take over a little bit. You have been appointed commercial sales manager. How long have you been in that position now here?
10 months.
Okay. And you're managing personnel across now all 3 major OEMs. Used to be 3 different physical stores. Now you guys are all in the same building.
Yep.
How has the managing of the personnel gone for you, considering you have all 3 OEMs now?
It's gone pretty good. I did have a little advantage being with the company for 19 years. I already knew the people that I was coming to work with, so that really helped a lot. And also helping manage all 3 is something that it's helped us learn each brand probably a little bit better, understanding when we're bidding since we have Chevrolet, Ram, Ford, and GMC. It's helped us maybe understand in the past how the Ford guys were getting there, how the Ram guys were getting there, and it's helped us win more bids of all of them, of all the brands.
Right, because you don't have to worry about any issues with the brand loyalty aspect of it.
Correct.
Good, good, good. And you mentioned you spent virtually 2 decades on the retail side, and you're not unlike a lot of people who come over to commercial and fleet from the retail side, and at least initially you were in the role of selling manager.
Correct.
So initially, how did you successfully balance the 2 words in that title, the selling and the managing, and what advice do you have to somebody that's in kind of a lesser established dealership that's now in that role?
Sure. Good question, Will. You know, I really didn't focus on being a selling manager. I didn't focus on being a salesperson. I didn't focus on being a manager. I just focused on rolling up my sleeves and getting to work. You know, we set a lot of goals. Helped Tyler and Jeff out. Jeff, you can see Jeff and Jeremy both on our Meet Our Team page there that Claudia has up. Really just kind of jumped in and whatever needed to be done. The sales manager is not ever too good to do anything, and you know, I kind of had that mindset all the years that I was a sales manager here for 14 years at McGrath Auto. I was the Chevrolet sales director for the previous 12 years before joining the fleet and commercial team. So that's my advice there, is to roll your sleeves up, get in, and you know, you gotta do the work and dig the trenches just like the guys do, Will. And my advice for somebody who is in a lesser established department, to answer your question, would be to set weekly goals, set monthly goals, both.
Activity, you mean, right?
Correct,
yeah.
Correct. Set activity goals as far as how many outbound sales calls, how many referrals to ask for. You know, set those goals and follow through with them. Put them on paper, share them with people, put them on a Google Doc, share them with everybody that's in your department, the manager that's hiring you, and that really seems to be a great way to grow.
Keep them informed.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So with your retail experience, how have those relationships, both I guess in terms of selling and the relationships within the dealership, translated to connections for the commercial department again, throughout the dealership and with your own customers that were maybe business owners that you sold personal vehicles?
Yeah, Will, those really worked out great. With me spending so much time on the retail side, obviously I knew a lot of the business owners. For any of you that are in that situation of you are on the retail side and you know a lot of the business owners coming in buying, whether it's a Tahoe or a Cadillac for their wife or somebody in the office, leverage those relationships to get yourself in the door. Of course, it takes total buy-in. There's a lot of dealerships that are still holding on and taking that customer and selling them retail, and that's something that we were able to change our mindset here at McGrath Auto to really translate and transition all those customers that qualified for fleet into fleet pricing and into fleet deliveries. As the new car director at the Chevy store for a lot of years, I kind of got selfish a little bit sometimes in those customers that I knew qualified for fleet. We would sell them retail, being a little bit greedy. I wanted that deal. And now that I'm on the commercial side, I realized that it was not the right thing to do. And even the retail sales managers that now work for our company, those retail sales managers understand the importance of getting that customer, if they are a fleet buyer, to us to be able to handle the whole sale properly. Being able to go to the customer, print the paperwork, take them the car, and all those things that really encompass doing a true fleet deal.
Right, right. So my last question for you, I don't know if you want to jump in after this for quick comments, Coach, but one of the things that really stands out to me in my relationships with a lot of dealerships that you guys do really well, one of those formulas for success is the marketing operations. From the branding that you guys have, which all across even the retail stores is really phenomenal, to the efforts at trade shows, going to various industry events all throughout the state and really even beyond, the marketing materials, all that, it's been amazing. So without giving secrets away, can you kind of elaborate on some of those philosophies and some of those efforts that make a difference for you?
No problem, Will. And unless somebody plans on coming to a Cedar Rapids, Iowa home builder show, there probably isn't any secret to give away, because everybody's got their own trade shows at their places. One thing that the McGrath Fleet and Commercial Department has done, you can look on our commercial Facebook page and you can see all the events. I encourage everybody to look at that. You can see the events that we've attended and hosted and all the things above there. But Will, to answer your question, the main thing is for the last couple years, Jeff and Tyler have done a fantastic job at attending these events. We've hosted a lot of the local home builder events, including, you'll see the golf tournaments in there. Mm-hmm. And we do some squirt gun games, we do some fun things at the golf tournament. But the main thing with that is it can't be a one-year thing. It can't be a one-year wonder. You have to show up multiple years. As everybody listening in knows, growing your commercial department or growing your retail department for that matter, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a couple of years. And we've seen, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this morning here, we did a golf tournament here back in, I believe it was August, Iowa City Home Builders. And that was my first time at the Iowa City Home Builder golf tournament. But Jeff and Tyler had been there, I think, how many years, Tyler?
2 previous.
2 previous years, and multiple people came up to it, and I firsthand can say this, multiple people came up and said, man, it's you guys again. It's like 3 years in a row you guys have been down here. You're not going away. And that really has helped us out a lot to show the customer, hey, we're here to stay and be there for them. So anyway, that's my answer to your question, Will, is to you guys out there, go to the trade shows, go to the golf tournaments, host them, have a booth, and show up every year. Sometimes on year 2 or 3, I think it might be a little bit harder because you feel like I've already been there, I've already done that. But no different than a customer walking in your showroom and talking to them there. The more opportunity you get to get in front of them away from the atmosphere, it makes them feel more comfortable.
I know we didn't talk about this in planning this, but before I pass it off to you guys at Work Truck Solutions, any closing comments maybe that we didn't address in questions or anything that you want to jump in on, Coach?
One thing I want to emphasize with Andy is when he says roll up his sleeves, he really means it.
Yes.
I mean, he has a day each week that he goes out with his team and makes sales calls, and I so urge commercial managers, roll up your sleeves. It's amazing what these guys have accomplished since they've been working together, and I think they've been having a lot of fun at the same time. Andy?
Yeah.
We've been having fun. Tyler still gives me a little hard time. Tyler's our most seasoned guy. You can see his scruffy little beard on the picture there. He's been here he's going on, is it 5 years?
Yeah.
He's going on 5 years of just fleet and commercial sales only. This year he'll do about 235, 245 units in that neighborhood. He's got 185 or 189 somewhere in there done already this year. But no, the thing that Ken just pointed out, getting out of the dealership, rolling up our sleeves, and helping these guys out. This year when I started back in January, it was like just February or March, and I grabbed Tyler one day and I said, "Hey, we're going. We're leaving the store." And he made a list of some people that he's been wanting to target. And I think you told me 3 or 4 times that that had been the first time he had been out of the store in a little while, because you get caught up. Everybody thinks that you have so much going on. You think that you have bids to do, and you want to wait for the phone to ring, so to speak. But you know what? In the commercial business, they'll be there when you get back. And so to discipline yourself to leave the dealership, even if it's for 1 day a week, get out for 6, 7, 8 hours, make some sales calls, do some pop-ins. It really kind of refreshes you and rejuvenates you. And I think Tyler had thanked me a couple times for yanking him out of the office. It kind of refreshes you.
Claudia and Joe, that's all we have for Andy, so he's all yours for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. All right. Andy, thank you so much for being here today. I have to personally thank you. I appreciate it. And, of course, Ken and Will, Tyler, thank you. Andy, we came out with a new dealer dashboard first of the year. How do you use that dashboard to manage your team, monitor your on-lot inventory, et cetera?
Sure. Well, one thing is we use I do like the page, where you can, it just looks a lot nicer than our website when we're doing a quote. A lot of times the customer wants a picture of the vehicle, and your guys' front cover sheet, when you do, we print that off a lot and include it in our quotes. Also, along with that, the other feature that we probably use the most would be the prospecting feature. So when you have that new customer that you're trying to kind of crack open, it's so much more professional than anything anybody else is going to send them. When you select a vehicle, go to the bottom, click prospect, and then put in the customer's email address, and of course you can customize it to put some notes on there with whatever you want. Those are probably the 2 features that we utilize the most.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely both great features and very successful when they're used. It's just like you were talking about the trade shows. When you do it consistently and you're doing it over and over again, it just grows and grows and grows. How has your experience been since coming on board with Work Truck Solution in regard to the consultative approach of your business development manager and your dedicated dealer success coach?
It's been really, really good. Matter of fact, Deborah's been great. She's our success coach, and anytime I have a question for Deborah, she really knocks it out of the park and helps us out. I probably don't spend enough time on Work Truck Solutions. I'll throw myself under the bus a little bit. I need to utilize it even more than I do. We do use it quite a bit, but like everything else in life, you could always strive a little bit further. Brian Teal's been great. Matter of fact, I talked to Brian last week. We're going to sign up our Ford store on Work Truck Solutions here this week. We're going to finish doing that. So yeah, it's been great. Both Deborah and Brian have been great to help us get set up and answer all my silly questions and things we don't understand.
Super. And as we move forward, we have changed things up a little bit, and Janine Estrada will be your new dealer success coach, and she's awesome. She's going to take great care of you just like Deborah did. And so we can get some extra training in there for you. We have a bunch of new features that would be great to get you guys up and going with as well. Can you share how you handle leads from Work Truck Solution and maybe talk about their conversion rate into sales? Absolutely.
So when when all the people listening, if you look at the phone numbers that you see attached to our vehicles, they're specific to the cell phone numbers. It's not the actual cell phone. It dials, it alternates. So how we distribute the leads is if a customer clicks on a Chevrolet, as an example, that phone call is going to generate to either Tyler or Jeff's phone. They're the two Chevy guys, two Chevy GMC guys. So if one of them doesn't answer, it clicks over to the other one, and obviously one of them is always available. Same thing on the Ram. On the Ram, it goes from myself and Jeremy. And then on the Fords currently, since we're new to Ford, we've only been doing Ford commercial for a couple months, so we're really starting to get some traction there. I have that phone number ringing to my phone so I can distribute the leads, with whom I think is going to be best suited to take care of that client, who may already have a relationship with somebody there. And as far as the conversion rate, that's something that we're not having a hard time tracking it, but there's something that we notice that we're getting a lot of, and that is customers going to Work Truck Solutions and then just calling us versus emailing, and that is a little bit harder to track because you don't know for sure. Our phone number's out there in multiple places. Before we started today, we were able to track down Chevrolet was 7 for last month. Just that we can track, we did sell 7 Chevrolets, a kind of a unique example. We had a customer on a different website that found one of our trucks, and on the different website, it only showed one vehicle. It was Commercial Truck Trader. It only showed one of our flatbeds. For some reason, there was a malfunction there. But the customer found our truck on there, so they went ahead and Googled McGrath Auto. They got on our website and got linked up to the Work Truck Solutions, and they found 3 of them. And the guy was about 340 miles away from us in Indiana. So I apologize if anybody is in the neighborhood of this section of Indiana, but we did deliver 3 flatbeds to Indiana last week from a Work Truck Solutions lead.
I love hearing those stories. That is awesome.
Yeah, so again, that part is we're still trying to figure out maybe the best way to track that, because if we can track the emails, those are easy. You can go to your homepage and you can see all the leads that came in. The phone calls, a little bit more hard to track, but if you ask the right questions, you know where to go.
Definitely, definitely. It's so important to have that data for your buyers to see so quick and easy right there on your website, to have your picture and details, not just on the chassis, but the body as well, to be able to provide them all of that great information in just a quick view. So, having that at your fingertips is really definitely a powerful tool.
Yeah, and I would say also something that we've gotten really good at is to make sure that when a vehicle, a fresh upfitted unit, lands on the ground, to make sure we get that invoice over to you guys right away, so that whether it's a service body or flatbed, whatever the case is, that it gets uploaded, and that way you just have accurate information all the time. And we've made that very religious here at our store with all of our websites to update a vehicle as soon as it gets here.
Yeah, you guys are real good at that, and the pictures too. Having those actual on-lot pictures of those vehicles, not a generic, is definitely a powerful tool.
Yep.
With that being said, NTA came out with a statistic a few months ago that 2 years ago the average commercial buyer was shopping at approximately 5 dealerships before making a decision on their commercial purchase. Today it's 1.2. So that really shows that they are looking at the website, they're walking on the lot, they're picking up the phone and calling you, and they're not going to spend a lot of time on it. They're going to get it done. So to have that data in there and making their shopping experience such an easy transition.
I completely agree with that, Joel. That's something we've seen time and time again, that when they call, if you have the unit in stock, I mean, almost 80-90% of the time you sell them either that unit or another one that's there.
Yeah. We're doing some neat things right now with conversion rates at Work Truck Solution for our dealers, and the dealer success coaches are reaching out to the dealerships and looking at those numbers in a different way. We're looking at those opportunities to break down how many people are looking at your site compared to those that are reaching out via emails or calls. Now, like you said, it's a little hard to track some of that, like the guys that just walk on the lot. but our conversion rates that we're seeing from the guys coming to the Work Truck Solutions site are anywhere from double the industry standard of 1.8 up to 15-16% conversion rates. So we're seeing some huge numbers by having all that data in place and those pictures and, you know, all the details like you guys are doing. So some great rates coming out of that. So how do you, as a sales consultant, use Work Truck Solution to enhance your buyer experience, your customers? You know, has it made their acquisition of the right vehicle easier?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess part of my thing that I've learned to use and utilize Work Truck Solutions for probably the most is when we have that client that we're outbound prospecting and they haven't bought from us before in particular and they don't know what McGrath Fleet and Commercial is all about, by leading them to our Fleet and Commercial landing page where they can then click on the Work Truck Solutions, you know, and click on Chevy or Ram, and then very soon Ford. It just gives them that impression. You know, we do have a lot of units in stock. Our team right now, Will's laughing because him and Ken drove in. I picked them up from the hotel Monday morning, and I drove them through our new parking lot. And right now we have about 160 in stock. Lots of upfits. But anyway, my point with that is we have 160 in stock, but when that customer that you're trying to acquire goes to your Work Truck Solutions website and sees that you have 500 or 600 or even 700 or 800, depending on how far you've set your mileage at, multiple times we've had people say to us, "Holy cow, you guys got 600 in stock," and you know, of course, we just play along with it. We
Absolutely
don't deceive them. We don't tell them no either. So that's probably, as a sales consultant, that's probably what we use the most to enhance our relationship.
Okay, perfect. And you know, having that extra inventory from that dealer trade network, it really makes that buyer sticky. When they see those extra vehicles, they know you can get them whatever they want, regardless of if it's on the lot or in your pool inventory, if you will.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's made doing a dealer trade a lot easier on a particularly here. Last couple months we did a couple Rams where I was able to get one. I can't remember who it is. Maybe he's listening, but there's two in Missouri that I was able to get, a 5500 and a 4500 that are normally really hard units to trade for, but they were on Work Truck Solutions, and I called and asked for them, and one of them we traded for, and one of them we bought.
Perfect. Yeah, our dealer trade network really helps move some aged inventory as well. You know, we set everything by default at 45 days on the lot. The dealership has the choice to change that or edit it either on a one-by-one basis or across the board and change them all. Do you think 45 days is enough time for a dealer to make a profit, or is that too soon?
Well, we're in a unique situation because in 2016, our fleet and commercial department sold 383 vehicles, and as of right now today, we have 510 delivered, and so that paces us for like 620 with November and December to go. So we're in a situation where on us right now, what we've done is we've put a time of 250 days on every one of our units. And the reason we've done that is we have to work really hard to get, you know, diesel chassis or 3/4 tons with service bodies. We've had to work really hard to build our inventory. And so in building it, of course, we were a little greedy and we didn't want to trade it away. So now we're in a situation where, for the first time in a long time, we have a few aged, because when you start stocking 150 or more, and you're selling 500 or 600 a year, it's just going to happen naturally. It happens on the retail side. It's going to happen on the commercial side. So we are going to start backing our age down on our aged inventory. But to answer your question, no, I don't think 45 days is enough. Personally, I think that that 60 to 90 days, if you have somebody that's immediately in the market, 60 to 90 days is probably more a realistic time frame to give that vehicle an opportunity to sell.
Just to tie in with what Andy said too, a lot of it's inventory dependent. So, you know, if you're a Chevy guy, you know that a year ago vans were almost impossible to get. Mm-hmm. So depending on the inventory, we'll adjust it. And then, like Andy said, as time goes on, if I've got, you know, 10 service bodies sitting here and a couple of them are starting to get older, we'll back it down. We just kind of set it as a safety net on our end because the inventory has been a little bit more of a challenge, at least on the Chevy side, to be able to get a hold of and maintain. So we're constantly in there adjusting it. When we do need to move something, we'll put it available that day, and normally within a few weeks, somebody's on it and somebody needs it if we weren't able to sell it. So you constantly, if you're good at it, you're gonna be able to go through and adjust accordingly based off of what you have in stock.
And Joe and Claudia, I know that we're going to save questions for the end, but there's one here that Don Hadley asked that I think is very important to what we've been talking about. I'd like Ken to jump in on this. And that the question is, how important is it to stock inventory? What do they emphasize on the lot? Ken, you've got a great formula that's simple to follow to explain that.
I call it reverse engineering. Actually, a couple of things. Number one, our kind of rule of thumb is you want 3 times more inventory than what you plan on selling in a single month. But a lot of it has to do with your outbound targets. If I know I'm going to have extra vans or I've got a surplus of vans, then our target market, both for marketing and sales calls, is plumbers, florists, electricians, anybody who drives vans. If we're just sitting waiting for them to come and find our inventory, we got a real issue. So the 2 things I would always say, look at your inventory based on past experience also. Look at your current customers and their buying patterns. Any dealership that hasn't asked their good, solid customers, when are you going to order again? What are you going to be ordering? A lot of that we can turn into pre-orders. And secondly, if you do get a surplus of inventory, then you make sure you're calling on the right prospects to move that inventory, because I promise you nobody else is out on the streets calling and they don't know. Number 3, make sure you got them on the front line. I go so many dealerships where we've got stuff hidden. I had a dealership that had a red dump truck and they had it for almost 300 days. I asked them to move it out front and it sold in 2 days. So there are a lot of little things that are involved in that. But that's kind of my broad-based answer, and I'm sure Andy can kind of help you on that also. Andy, as far as inventory?
Probably the number one thing that I see we've made a big adjustment to in 2017 is we looked back at 2016. Tyler, how many service bodies did we sell in 2016? Wasn't the number like 38?
Yeah.
So we sold just short of 40 service bodies in 2016, and they were, just 2,500 regular cabs. Some were 2-wheel drive, some were 4-wheel drive. So back in the spring, we actually looked at, okay, how many did we sell? And we and this is all pretty simple stuff. Some of you guys are already doing this, but we kind of anticipated how many did we think we were going to sell, and we just went ahead and ordered them. And we had a little pushback from our owner, to say the least. We had some pushback from our owner back in March when we started trying to stock up for this coming fall and spring, and it ended up working out. I think right now we have between Ram and Chevy and Ford, I think I have in the neighborhood of 20 service bodies on the ground right now, and it makes you a little nervous when you look at them. But again, last December alone we sold, I believe it was 17 just that month. So
well,
if that helps any.
If I can jump in here too, for the Work Truck Solution customers on the line, the analytics that we provide you every month of what your buyers are actually clicking on from the vocational carousel on your website, that's a priceless tool when you're ordering your units. We actually had a dealership, 75 to 100 upfits on the ground at any given time. 20 years he'd never been asked for a dump truck by the fleet manager's own admission. We pointed out to him that the number 2 and 3 most searched body on his site over a 3-month period was in fact dump trucks. He ordered one, sold it within a week of it hitting the ground, ordered a second one, sold it. In the month of December 2 years ago, he sold 6 of them. He'd never been asked for a dump truck. Didn't know anybody wanted them. And so there's some tools out there to help with that as well that are just phenomenal.
We've got questions from Bill McDowell and Andy Thomas. We'll get to you guys at the end. We're going to switch gears, if it's all right with Claudia and Joe, to Tyler now, for the most part. Andy's still here. Probably answer the questions at the end. But that all right, you two? Claudia and Joe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's roll.
Mr. Jansen? How are you?
Good.
Good. So Tyler is the longest tenured member of the department. I know we talked about that. How'd you get started with Ken and our team? And then you've got kind of a cool story in that you actually got the nickname Ken Taylor here in the dealership. So tell those two stories.
I did. I didn't know that part of the question was coming, so that's kind of fun. I got started with Ken 3 years ago at a boot camp, actually, and everything he pointed out to me, you know, some of it I was doing, a lot of it I wasn't, and I'm like, this is easy stuff. Why am I not doing it? So I came back to dealership, pretty excited. Got with my ownership group, kind of went over what I learned and what I was changing, and so from there we have a sales board upstairs, and one day I go up there to go over our sales, and instead of Tyler, he yells out Kenny Taylor, which obviously caught me off guard. And about a month later, we had a sales banquet for the top volume leaders in the company, and there's probably between sales and management and wives and everybody there's probably 250 people in there. And he gets to me and says, talks me all up and says Ken Taylor, and I actually sat back down for a second because I wasn't expecting that. So for some reason, he decided, you know what, he's doing what Ken's saying, and 2 years later, or 3 years later, I'm still Ken Taylor on the board. So that's my story on that.
It's a great story. So, what difference have we made, meaning Ken mostly, but I guess myself as well, to ensure the success of the McGrath Fleet Commercial Department in a tangible sense? Because again, you've been here the longest, you've seen the most of that transition.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's kind of endless. But just to go over a few of the simple things you can do to tweak. We weren't very active with social media, so if you go to our Facebook page, we've got quite a bit more stuff on there now. Mm-hmm. We try to more consistently get photos of events we're attending. Make sure we tag those companies of the attendees that were there. That really seems to boost our activity when we do that. Even boosting posts on top of that, man, it really makes a huge difference really, really fast. You know, once in a while when we're selling a service body, we'll tag Knapite or Monroe or whoever we get that body from, just to stay in front of anybody that we possibly can to get more views, more likes on our page, and get our name out there as much as we possibly can. Truck Trader was a big one. Obviously, Work Truck Solutions has been huge. I think we've been doing that for, on the Chevy side, at least 2 years now, and had a lot of success from it. But even just pointing out the simple things, I know Andy kind of talked on it earlier, but trade shows, going to those, whether you're setting up a booth, whether you're visiting the booths, attending home builders events multiple times. I've been to 90% of the Iowa City and Cedar Rapids events over the last 2 years, and I've seen one guy from one dealer there one time, and that's it. And you know, over 2 years now, you start to make friends. Everybody knows you're there; they know who you are, and it really makes a big impact. But if you don't show up multiple times, you're never really going to have any success. Now, we've been fortunate enough that our dealership is so excited and bought into what we're doing that we've been able to host multiple events. Two this year, one at our Chevy location, and one at our one of our Harley stores in Iowa City. And we did a previous one with Ken here as well. All of those have been about as good of attendance as they have for any given event throughout the year, with the exception of the golf tournament. So a lot of that is simple things to do, but doing it is the challenge, and kind of like Andy said, rolling up your sleeves and putting the work in. If you don't do it and you don't commit to it, you're not going to grow the way you want to grow. And like you said earlier, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years. In the last 3 years, it's taken off a lot, but really in the last 16, 18 months, it's just had kind of that snowball effect. The other thing from a tangible standpoint would be just inventory. Ken kind of touched on that earlier. I think when Ken came here, I had 3 or 4 cargo vans and a couple of chassis.
Wow.
And you look at us now, and I've got 30, 40 upfits, you know, a dozen cargo vans or more at all times. And a big part of bringing Ken in was getting that buy-in from management. Once you have that, and they see it move, and they see, you know, the profits and everything else, it makes a huge difference. So that's a lot of what Ken brings to the table. I mean, that's a small snapshot, but just to go over it quick, that's a lot of what he brings to the table. And if you do it, you succeed as long as you put the work in. But it's actually getting off the conference call today and making the initiative to get it started. And the guys that leave here today and do it are already heading in the right directions, and the guys that think they're going to do it and wait, it's going to take you longer. So when you get off, I mean, take some notes and get going on this stuff, and call Ken, call Will, call
Absolutely.
myself or Andy, whoever. There's a lot of guys on this conference call right now that have been doing a lot longer than me that are pretty good too, and that's the other big thing Ken brings to the table is just getting connections throughout the country. I talked to a guy in Georgia this week. I talked to Mike Stubbs down in Texas, a guy out of Kansas City. I mean, just all over the country. And in the commercial world, everybody wants to help you out, and that's what's been so great about bringing Ken on is he's helped us in so many facets that I couldn't even begin to count them. But that's just an easy snapshot of what he's brought to the table that's helped us succeed and grow at a pretty fast rate, really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One aspect that Ken also does that you didn't touch on there, and I'm glad you didn't, but it's you mentioned it in the special that we did with Kathy Ireland, which, in case you haven't been to our website, the people that are listening here, on commercialtrucktraining.com, shortly below the fold, there's the video that you can click and play and see. It's, 7-8 minutes long. They did a really great job.
Yeah, and it's really worth it just to see Kathy Ireland.
Yeah. But in there, Tyler and Orrin Smith from here as well, you mentioned that one of the really unique characteristics that Ken has is actually making sales calls with you. Haven't done it so much lately because you've been really busy with all your sales, but can you share what that experience was like when you guys were first starting out?
Absolutely. So kind of the thing of many things that makes Ken unique is, for example, I was a sales manager at Best Buy for a while, and I did a lot of sales training, and anybody can stand in a conference room and tell you what to do and how to do it. The difference with Ken is he actually goes out there with you, and he'll take lead on it and really show you instead of tell you. He doesn't come in and say you need to do this, this, and this and leave. He shows you how to do it, and a lot of guys don't do that. So Ken will pick up the phone, he'll make the calls for you. Ken will go on the calls with you, whether it's an existing customer, a new customer, warm call, cold call, whatever it is, and you learn very quickly from him really easy ways to get in the door. Sales calls can be intimidating, and Ken shows you how to make them fun and not intimidating. The biggest thing Ken says is let's go out and have fun, and that's what we do. That's what Andy and I have been able to do, as well as the rest of the team. And kind of to tie in with that, the biggest thing Ken does on those sales calls, particularly with an existing customer, he just did one yesterday, is ask for the referrals. Everybody is, for whatever reason, ourselves included sometimes, either it's not top of mind or they're afraid to ask for the referrals. Ken went to a place yesterday with a customer of ours that we've treated pretty good, and walked away, and the guy said, I've got 100 guys I can get you, and a lot of really good ones. So I don't want to give them to you today. I want to put a list of the really good ones. I'll call you, and we'll go over who they are and what they do, and make sure that you guys can get in front of them and take care of them. I'll make sure to recommend you guys to them as well, and that goes a long ways, because that sales call just got 10 times easier, and that all stems from what Ken does and what he brings to the table when he goes on a sales call with you. Like I said, compared to just sitting here and saying, ask for it, which really not, a ton of direction.
Claudia and Joe, he's all yours. I just want to add to Bob Kerr that if you're referring to the video that we have with Kathy, just visit our website. It's commercialtrucktraining.com. Just scroll down a little bit, and it's right there in its own little section with a little play button. Hit that, and the YouTube will pop up, and you're ready to roll. So, Joe, he's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, Tyler, how do you use Work Truck Solution to enhance your experience with your customers, your relationship?
I think a big part of it is the wow factor. Andy kind of touched on it earlier. For example, multiple times this year, last year, whenever it's been, I've taken quite a few phone calls and the first thing they say is, I'm looking for a commercial dealer. I got on your website, and you guys look like you're in the commercial business. And that's all set up to Work Truck Solutions, and how easy that page is to navigate, as well as, you know, we've got 150 vehicles here, and it shows on there most times between 600 and 900 vehicles. So the wow factor instantly brings that guy in and says, these guys know what they're doing, and it builds trust without really having to, you know, without ever even having any conversation with them before they call. That's what commercial guys want, is they want a guy that they feel they can trust, feels like they're experienced and know what they're doing, and then obviously from there, it's on you to make it easy and treat them right. But it's been a no-brainer for us. The first thing I tell most guys that call us is get on Work Truck Solutions, because the appearance in itself just instantly enhances what you do as a dealership, and it's really a great site. It's better than any dealership site that I've seen. You know, Ken kind of Will kind of touched on our Brandon earlier, and our company does a phenomenal job with that. And our websites are pretty good, but this is the next step that really wows you with it. So that's probably the biggest thing from a relationship standpoint, is that instant trust you have before you've even picked up the phone and talked to them.
Perfect. Yeah, I love hearing things like that. Coming from the guys in the field that are doing it, I tell dealers all the time, does your website say you're open for business or not? And,
exactly.
You know, in most cases, without Work Truck Solution, not to toot our own horn, but honk honk, you know, it doesn't. There's nothing there that says you're selling commercial, and if you've got a hunt and peck, you're probably going to lose that buyer.
Right. Yep.
So we have a very simple 2-minute prospecting tool that's included with your Work Truck Solutions service. We find that a lot of our dealers are not using this tool. However, the guys that are, we're seeing 3 to 5 extra trucks every month coming out of those guys. How do you guys use this tool to reach your prospective customers?
Well, we do it a couple different ways. So we'll prospect through that, and the great thing is it gets that truck information. You're more doing a direct targeted marketing with it. Instead of sending them something generic, you know, hey, we sell trucks, you're dialed in on that customer that you're prospecting with, and you're sending them, okay, I know this guy has 15, 20, 30 service bodies in his fleet, or I know he drives a dozen dump trucks, whatever the case may be. You're directly targeting that customer with the vehicle that they're typically most interested in or most commonly purchasing, rather than, you know, send them a flyer or something generic that really doesn't have any detail or volume in it, so to say, that helps them or shows them what they're looking for. The other thing we do that ties in really well with Work Truck Solutions is we have a CRM that does a really nice job, that we can send out a really targeted mailer to a certain client base, and we'll tie that in with Work Truck Solutions. So we advertise 2 to 4 vehicles on that list. We'll tie that in with it, and then it directly brings into Work Truck Solutions from there. We can track our clicks from there, and every time we do it, the phone rings that day or the next more than one time. So it's interesting to kind of market that and see that. It really just does a nice job.
Yeah, it's a great tool, and we're continually adding to it and making it better. You can now import buyers to it, which makes it really nice to grab your book of business, or, you know, the groups that you're going to, the trade shows, the associations, and import those buyers directly into Work Truck Solution to be able to work, you know, with them that way. We've also just added CRM integration, which is a great tool. Anything you put into your Work Truck Solutions site will push over to your CRM automatically. So some great tools to just really enhance and help the dealership be able to not only reach out to those buyers, but be able to manage what their commercial sales team is doing by having it go straight into the CRM.
Yep, absolutely.
How do strategies and tactics that Ken teaches apply to the tools available on your inventory management site?
You know, a big part of it, kind of like I just touched on, was the target marketing. So Ken preaches that like crazy, and it's a no-brainer. If you don't target market your customer, you're really not going after anything. You're just hoping and praying for something. So, one, having the inventory, two, target marketing, and then with Work Truck Solutions, setting that up. If you're target marketing specific client base, having your featured vehicles of what that target marketed customer is. So, if we're targeting service bodies and dump trucks, for example, then I want the trucks I have in stock as my featured vehicles, so those pop up first. So when they get right to my page, they're seeing those right away before anything else. So that would be the biggest thing Ken preaches is target marketing, and we try to tie that in with Work Truck Solutions as best as we possibly can.
Yeah, that featured the ability to feature those vehicles on our site is a great tool, and that's another one that we don't charge for. That's just included in your service with Work Truck Solution. Tyler, do you use the dealer trade network much, and how does it save you time?
I do, and kind of like Andy said, as most of you probably know, dealer trades aren't always the most fun. They can be a pain at times. But from what I've seen in my experiences, my response time is significantly faster when I send in something through Work Truck Solutions. And, almost every time I'm getting the vehicle I'm after. So it makes dealer trade life so much easier, because when you're busy, dealer trades are time consuming, or can be, and it's not always the most fun thing to do. And I tell you what, Work Truck Solutions has made that significantly easier for us, and that's probably, there's a lot of good things about Work Truck Solutions. That's up there with one of my favorites that it's been for a dealer benefit for us.
Awesome. And I have one last question for you. In terms of recommendation, how has it been working with your dedicated dealer success coach? Did you find the input that she had regarding your traffic and data useful? How are you going to use that data to improve your sales? I know that was a big question.
Yeah, so no, you're fine. Janine has recently been talking to me quite a bit, and first and foremost, she's just done an awesome job making sure that we're set up the way we need to be. We're starting to dive a little bit more into the traffic and data standpoint, so that, for example, like you said earlier, when your example was on the dump trucks, they'd never stocked them. That's your most clicked item. So we're trying to dive into that a little bit more and figure out exactly what customers are clicking on our site, so we can target that, we can stock that inventory. Every market's a little bit different on what customers are driving, whether it's flatbeds, dumps, whether it's service bodies, steel, aluminum. And so if we start to see that, that's how we select our inventory, and that's where you guys come in and help us out. So we're starting to dive into that quite a bit more, and that's really going to help us improve sales because of the knowledge we have behind it. One thing I'd say with Work Truck Solutions, just to tie in, is, in 2 years ago when we got on, I thought the site was phenomenal, but it just keeps getting better. The Work Truck Solutions just does such a great job of listening to what their dealers are telling them in terms of adjustments and changes they might want to make, add to it, whatever the case may be, as well as adjusting to personnel. So as time goes on, you guys have added more people, you've added more dedicated people to each dealer, and they do a great job of staying in front of us, make sure that as the site changes and enhances, we know how to use it, how to utilize it better, and getting the right people in front of us, getting them trained right, so that when they call me, they know what they're talking about. There's nothing worse than having somebody call you and trying to walk you through it and really can't, and I've never had that experience thus far. Everybody I've ever worked with at Work Truck Solutions gets me the answer I need and shows me how to really use it. So
good. Yep, we love hearing that, and we are definitely dedicated to the dealers to make sure that not only do you have the tools that are going to work for you in the industry, but to make our site be, commercial friendly. We're building it for you guys. We're not building it top down. We're building it for the truck pros to sell more trucks. And to have those dedicated dealer success coaches out there that can champion those great ideas that you guys come back to us with and implement them into our service has been just phenomenal for everybody.
Yeah, it really has. Every time that I've gone to Brian or whoever else and told them, hey, have you thought about this? It's either that's a great point, or yeah, it's in the works. We're working on tweaking that, making this better, and it's never once been, well, we'll think about it, and then you never hear anything on it again. You guys have really done a great job, and like I said, anybody that's listening, if you're serious about commercial, get on Work Truck Solutions, because it's a no-brainer to help enhance what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Claudia, do we want to open it up for some questions and answers?
Yeah, we're getting close to the time. We appreciate you guys being on. We're probably going to run over just a couple minutes. I know Ken has something really quick he wants to announce. So, Ken, do you want to go ahead and make your surprise announcement?
Yes, I certainly do, and no, that is not me. But anyway.
I just thought it'd be silly.
Well, first, no, I love it. That expression on my face sometimes. On January the 10th, 11th, and 12th, we're doing our next Ultimate Boot Camp, and through great persuasion with Claudia, I can never say no to her. Normally, if you register in the first 30 days, it's $16.95, and as a courtesy truck. At Work Truck Solutions and my good friend Claudia, which I can't say no to, we're going to knock another $200 off. So it's going to be $14.95 for the next 30 days, Will?
Yeah, we can do 30 days.
Next 30 days, 45 days off. And what's great about this next boot camp is we're adding a lot of new stuff that we've learned. So, you know, if you're there, whether you're very experienced or you're brand new, you're going to walk away with some tactics, I promise you, that you've never thought of before, and that will turn into sales.
And I can say I had the pleasure and honor of being invited to a boot camp that I spent 3 days with Ken and Will, and some of the things that I took away, not being a salesperson in commercial, was absolutely, I was blown away with how much I learned in that 3-day boot camp. So if you guys are out there, again, if you want to say you're open for business in commercial, you need to be a part of one of these boot camps, be a part of what Ken and Will are doing out there, because it absolutely will change your business.
Yep,
Thank
I
you,
agree,
much
for
appreciated.
sure. So yeah, there's
Thank
a
you.
code up there on the screen for you. Just all you have to do is use that code webinar, and you'll get that $200 off your registration automatically. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions now. We'll spend about 10 minutes here. So I know, Bill, you had a question earlier in the webinar, so I'll go ahead and read off the questions, and then you guys, you can go ahead and tackle them as answers. So Bill McDowell asked, how does an auto group overcome franchise agreements to offer a multiple manufacturer commercial sales point? Whew.
Well, that's a great question, Claudia. First, well, hopefully there's no manufacturers listening in, but first thing you do is I don't want to say you do it until they say no, but we have kind of a unique situation here. Our new commercial facility, we actually have 3 adjoining properties that adjoin but are separate parcels. So for us, it's pretty simple. We have Fords on one lot, Rams on one lot, and Chevys on another lot, and they're all within, what, about 80 yards? They're all within about 80 yards of our facility. So not everybody's going to have that. I get that. But we've just been really fortunate. Our Chevrolet rep and our Greg Fujimoto, if anybody else has Greg Fujimoto out there as their commercial rep for General Motors, he's been great. Our Chrysler rep's been great, and we don't abuse it. We try to keep the inventory separated as far as possible. I'm not sure if that gives anybody a really, really great answer, but it's something that you have to work with. You have to not necessarily tap dance around it, but you need to make everybody happy.
Awesome. And Andy Thomas asked, which you guys kind of touched on a little bit, how many units a month do you sell that you know are from Work Truck Solutions?
Great question. So last month, just the easy ones we were able to target from the Chevrolet side, and I had mentioned earlier those 3 flatbeds that went to Indiana. Those were in October. Those were not in November, and those were part of the 7 Chevrolets that we sold in October just from Work Truck Solutions. We did do a couple of Rams also. but again, you know, our phone numbers are on Work Truck Solutions, so I know we're getting more phone calls from there than, you know, because the customer doesn't call and say, I'm calling from Work Truck Solutions, of course. So, I mean, that's just a quick overview from the month of October.
One thing I'd add and recommend doing, we're trying to do a better job of this as well, as when you're getting that new customer, don't hesitate to ask how they found you. If you've never worked with them or talked to them before, ask, and a lot of times you're going to find out. If it was from your website and they talk about it a little bit, you know that it came because they were on your Work Truck Solutions site. So we're trying to do a better job of it. We just took a call yesterday, and that was one of the first questions that Jeff, one of the other guys here, asked us, how'd you hear about us, how'd you find us? Because he was, I don't remember what state he was from, but he was from either a ways away from us or out of state, I can't remember, but just try to do a better job of that so you can try to monitor that yourself on top of what Work Truck Solutions tries to do to help you.
And that includes the guys that are walking on the lot, not just phone calls. You know, these guys look at your website, find their perfect truck, and walk on and say, okay, I'm here to get it, and nobody ever asks them where they came from.
Yep.
Right. All right, awesome, guys. Zane Morrison asked, who inputs all of the Facebook info?
Great question. Mostly us. Andy does a really nice job of it, but we all have access to our commercial page to put that information in there.
Yeah, even I used to for a while.
Even Will used to for a while. We try to collaborate with one another and before we post anything to make sure we covered all our bases, got everything we needed on there. We also have an internet department, depending on what we're doing, that will occasionally ask for help putting stuff on there. So it kind of varies, but really a lot of it is taking the couple minutes out of your day to take ownership of your commercial page and do it yourself. That's one of the least time-consuming things that we do. That is actually one of the easiest things that we do. So.
And I would add on the Claudia, on the Facebook page, I would add one thing on there is to not oversaturate it. I think a couple posts per month. If you look back at ours, there's occasionally where we'll have 2 or 3 posts in 1 month, but generally, you know, in the neighborhood of 1 to 3, depending on what you have going on. If you have some events going on or some new inventory, but we found that you don't want to post something every day. You don't even want to post something, I don't think, every week. I'm not sure if Ken would agree with that. If he's nodding his head yes.
It's all about the content.
Strength of content. Strength of content.
As someone who runs, you know, the Work Truck Solutions marketing, a lot of the things we do in the marketing department with us, you know, you really have to know who your target audience is. There's lots of tools Facebook has. You could spend 10 minutes on a Monday or any day of the week planning all of your content over the next month, and you can just schedule it on which days and which times you want it to go out at, and all of your work for your social media is done in those 10 minutes, 1 day a month. So I think that, you know, the guys at McGrath have great points because you guys work with really busy bodies that probably aren't on Facebook a ton. They don't need to see constant updates. They probably are more interested in content that matters, special events, special sales you guys have going on that are specific to either their vocation or just their interest.
If you limit that content and a customer comes through and sees that, you know, Bob's Plumbing bought from you and they know Bob, and you're not flooding it with a bunch of stuff that really doesn't necessarily matter every day, that alone can make a difference, because if they see Bob's Plumbing's buying from you and they know Bob pretty well, that's more likely to drive them in too.
Yeah, and Claudia, 3 things I really push hard for dealerships on what they should be posting. When you sell a truck, like Tyler just mentioned, feature your customer. They love it. Plus, they send it to other people to see it. We want to do that. If we're at an event, we want to make sure people know we're at that event. Hopefully we take a picture with a customer at the event. And even and putting some of our YouTube channel information on there. So, you know, we're pretty specific about what we want to post, and these guys do a fabulous job of it, just outstanding.
Absolutely, yeah, you guys definitely do one of the better jobs out of people that I see. So Zane has a couple more questions. How do you manage all of your invoices? And we'll wrap this up in the next few minutes. Anyone who doesn't, questions don't get answered, we will go ahead and reach out to you directly with answers to your questions.
Absolutely.
So how do
Well,
you guys manage all of your invoices?
Sure, and I'm assuming he's regarding the invoices on the upfits that are coming in?
Yes.
Yep, so again, I think I touched earlier on, you know, we're pretty religious about making sure, and as an example, I had Auto Truck Group out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I think they have an office in Chicago too. The trucks I got today came from Fort Wayne, but we got 2 trucks in today. Actually, I got one in yesterday also. The day they come in, you know, we take the quote or the invoice that we had gotten from Auto Truck or Knapheide or wherever that vehicle came from, and we go into all of the different areas of our websites, Work Truck Solutions, Commercial Truck Trader, Reynolds and Reynolds, yes, the old dinosaur system, Reynolds and Reynolds. We go to our own personal website. We go to everywhere we need to go the day the truck gets here to update the invoice, the upfit, everything, so that way it's done and out of sight. Because if the truck gets here from Knapheide and it sits here for a week, you're going to forget about it. You're going to get busy. You're going to do something else. But we really truly do it every single day. We talked about it for 6 months, and we're very good at it. So hopefully that answers your question.
And guys, just to add to that, Work Truck Solution is, you know, we talked about earlier, always growing and expanding. We do have someone now that's dedicated to working with the body manufacturers to help get your body invoices copied to us. So when you order a truck, in most cases, they'll just copy us on that invoice, and you don't have to actually send every invoice in to us. So reach out to your dealer success coach, and they can put that together and help you with that.
Perfect. And some of these are more directed straight to the dealership, so I'm going to hold off on those ones. I will share those with Andy and Tyler and have them reach out directly to you guys with those answers. We'll close this one off with a question from Andy Thomas. How often is your commercial department hosting events?
Well, we do every event on our Facebook page. So if you visit the McGrath Fleet and Commercial Facebook page, you can see the timeline. The exact number, I believe this year was 5.
Yeah, I think so. We like I touched on earlier, we hosted 2 specifically at our locations this year. We were the main sponsor for the Home Builders Association golf tournament this year, and then we do a lot of sponsorships with them. We probably do another 2 or 3 throughout the year. So yeah, probably 5 or 6 this year that we were either the main host, main sponsor, or an additional sponsor to it. So, you know, within reason, as many as we can. Obviously, we can't do them all in terms of hosting, but the more we do, the more our name's out there, and everybody that, when we do these, everybody appreciates it. I mean, the amount of thank yous we get that come up to us for participating in are unbelievable every single time.
And one more add on that, Claudia, is that we've hosted 5 events this year. We've hosted 3 golf tournaments, and again, as Tyler mentioned, we hosted the event at our Harley store in Iowa City, and that was for the Iowa City Home Builders Association. We hosted an event here at our Chevrolet store for the Cedar Rapids Home Builders Association. So 5 events it seems like a lot. Next year we'll probably still do at least 3 or 4, but the main key is every month those places have a meeting. So just this last week, Tyler had something else going on Thursday night, but myself and Jeff Melcher, who's on our team there, if you see his picture and photo, him and I went down to Iowa City here just this last Thursday night for the Home Builders meeting. Now, we didn't host it. You know, we were just, since we're a member, you can go to the meetings. And you go and you have a few cocktails, and that's another way to, you know, all of a sudden, and actually as a good example, Thursday night when we were at the event and walking around, you know, we had multiple people say to us, you know, hey, you're the McGrath guys from Cedar Rapids. You know, it's only, Iowa City's only about 20 minutes from here. So you might only host 3 or 4 events a year, but you have to make sure that you attend all of the other events as a, you know, as a spectator / participant.
We try, and Ken preaches, to try to get to 1 a month at least. And we do a pretty good job of at least getting to 1 a month, if not 2.
Yeah. And Claudia, there's one thing I'd like to add that I did not add in the beginning, and that is every idea or everything that I've talked about and everything that pretty much the McGrath team talks about are ideas that are, I don't want to say stolen from other people, but I think everybody listening gets the picture. that's something coming from the retail and going to commercial. That's something that I've really enjoyed. Is that everybody's willing to help each other out. We're all here to grow at the same time, and very, very rarely you talk to a commercial guy that's not willing to help. So anyway, I think Mike Stubbs is listening. He's talked to me on the phone a few times, and probably a few others listening that have helped me. Thanks for the ideas, and thanks for the things that you've helped teach me, because I've probably taken some of your ideas and implemented them in our process.
We call that borrowing. We don't call it stealing.
Yes.
Hey, it's the best form of flattery, right?
Yep. Ken has taught us how to borrow very, very well.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for all of the great questions, and the team, thank you for the awesome answers. I am going to make sure that the guys get the rest of these questions so they can reach out directly and get you guys those answers. If you have any more, you can always reach out to us directly. Again, we recorded today's session, so we're going to go ahead and email that to you. With such an awesome end of the year with this webinar, record-breaking, we're actually going to take December off for our webinar series, but Work Truck Solutions is actually going to start a video newsletter that's going to be little tidbits of best practices, industry news, any upcoming events, specifically things like the boot camps that Ken hosts, things like that. Again, that Ultimate Boot Camp is January 10th through the 12th, and if you use that registration code webinar in the next 30 days, you're going to get $200 off of your registration. We can't wait to see you back in January. We're going to go over how to hit the ground selling in the new year and give you some best practices, talk about the data you guys can take advantage of to stock better and basically sell more trucks. Here is all of our contact information. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Again, I'm going to send all of these questions to the team so they can reach out to you directly with the answers. And then thank you so much for attending. I can't even tell you how appreciative we are of you all being a part of this record-breaking webinar. We know how busy you are, especially with the end of the year. So go finish out the year strong, sell the rest of your trucks, and we will see you guys next year.
Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.